Alright guys, hey, how you doing? This is Techninja 117 here with Zamman 6 actually, and we're going to be doing a Napoleon Total War commentary on a game we played with a couple friends. So this guy over here is T-Shira. This is actually his first 2v2 game. I hosted, I thought we were on Grassy Flatlands, it turns out we were on Waterloo. So
you screwed me with that.
I kind of failed over here. I'm in here, this is my army, I'm playing the Prussians. Say T-Shira is going to be playing Britain. There's me, Zamman, directly across me playing France, and there's also going to be Paul X1, who is going to be playing Britain, starting over on that other side. And kind of likewise, this is really one of Paul's first games on Napoleon as well. So it's kind of going to be like the match of the noobs versus the match of the people who kind of actually know what they're doing.
Yay! Wait, I know what I'm doing.
I said kinda. Now this setup period's kind of long, so we're just going to go ahead and fast forward through it until it gets you guys to spawn here. As you can see, I'm just kind of, doing my setup. At this point, we're trying to figure out what the hell to do, because we thought this was Grassy Flat.
And also, I know both,
yeah, because we can't see your side, so...
The Techninjas and my game styles have changed lately after watching several people play Napoleon, so pick up some things.
Exactly. But right now, we're trying to figure out how the hell to get, artillery up, and we're, figuring, okay, well, we gotta rush this hill right here.
And all I'm telling my guy is move up to the ridge, and he doesn't understand a single word I'm saying.
This ridge? Right
yeah,
here?
That ridge. I'm like,
this simple one with the big windmill on it.
He's like, what? I don't see it. I'm like, really, man?
Well, the setup time took a lot longer than I actually thought. I mean, I'm in, the double fast forward, and it's still just kind of like dirt.
Wow.
As you can see, T-Shira and I started off this match at a slight disadvantage in the power bar. But that slight disadvantage doesn't really mean a whole lot.
Yeah.
Coming out with one of the lovely things that I did learn. It's called the hammer tactic right here. So, got all my Prussian Fusiliers sitting there, and I've just been done setting up for a while now.
Oh, there's actually a town here?
Yeah, there's a town sitting on this side.
Oh, wow. That works.
And see, I mean, through my incessant coaching over here, I've actually got him to set up lights in front of a line, which is actually kind of awesome.
Nice.
Took a bit of doing, but I think this is T-Shira's third match versus another human.
Yeah,
something like
that.
Are you. By the way, T-Shira is also Falric from the League of Legends videos. Just figured I'd mention that. So I guess I could refer to him as Falric all the time, but just in this game, it's using his normal Steam ID. So, oh my God, spawn.
This is Paul. Remember?
Yeah, that's true. It takes like 9 years to set up his troops. So, you know what, I think we probably will just cut this. There we go. Alrighty, and now we've spawned, and we're going, and headed at hyperspeed still. But pretty much, what's going to happen is Xander here is going to move up with everything. He's got some horse artillery running right out in front of his line. We got ours kind of charging to that hill. Now, there's going to be an interesting little artillery engagement. As you can see, my entire side brought 2 pieces of artillery. Which actually isn't a whole lot, but we're going to attempt to use it pretty effectively. And Xander's side here brought 5 pieces of artillery.
Did he really?
Yeah, I say Paul brought 4 and you brought 1.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Which is kind of a bit of a cheap move, but it only works if you use it right.
See, we didn't have rules specified, so...
It's in the name of the game.
Was it?
Yeah.
This building has fallen to the enemy!
And apparently Paul decided that it was very necessary to run his fencibles into the house.
Yeah.
Now, when you're occupying a house, you want a unit that's good at melee combat. Fencibles are not that great at melee combat. I mean, he has the Highland Foot standing right here next to it, which he probably wanted to put in there, because, I mean, they're, better at melee combat, so they're not going to get cleared out really easy. All I have to do, really, is drop one of my regular line units into that house, and they're going to wreck the fencibles. So, that wasn't exactly the smartest move ever. I'll say Xander already has his cannon in place. They're not set up quite yet.
Forgot about it for a while.
Yeah, and Tom's moving his guns up here. They're going to take some counter battery fire from Paul's cannon that he has up in the hills. 9-pounders from Great Britain. Yeah. So.
I know I turned my cannon on that battery as well.
Yeah. So then we just got general movement coming up across the field here. So it's a little bit of time before the first engagement starts. Just for virtue.
There's the first.
Yeah, there's the first hit on the cannon. Like, we actually lose 1 piece of artillery before anything actually fires, which is kind of bad. So as you can see, Paul did kind of move up to the ridge as instructed. has, like, you know, King's German Legion Dragoons in behind this ridge where they can't really get anywhere. A couple pieces of artillery, but I mean, like, essentially he's got just way too many units over here. This battle could have went a lot different if there wasn't just, like, massive units behind this ridge, and if he just kind of focused it all on the center. I mean, he did kind of eventually start moving things, but definitely not fast enough.
We were both kind of coaching our teammates during this game, so...
And if that's one of the things that I've learned in doing multiplayer is it's all about time. You know, how quickly you can win your flank and how slowly your other person, if there's going to be a loss, is going to lose their flank. How long you can hold out, how much time you can give yourself to set up a maneuver. Really, all it ended up being was just, in this game, we pretty much won the time battle.
Yeah.
On our side, not to really give a spoiler out. But, you know, I never really ran down the builds. I guess I'll go on ahead and put that up in a little writing on the front while we're standing there doing our intro. Just pretty much essentially, there's a whole load of foot over here, and there's two things of cavalry, 1 dragoons and 1 light dragoons over here on this side. I'm sorry, there's 3 things of cavalry, 2 light dragoons.
Yeah.
I brought 4. I always bring, well, not always, but in this build I brought 2 hussars, 2 lancers.
Let's take your skirmishers and found my line.
Oh yeah, and then this just kind of happens, and it's an unfortunate thing to Sanders Voltigas. The Prussian Fusiliers, I have 5 units right here, and they're just raping. These guys are already down 25, and I think that was after, what, like a volley and a half?
Yeah, I actually went and put the majority of my light on that I had.
Yeah, so, and then, I mean, there's those Voltigas routing, and then I'm just going to kind of reform. Actually, I'm going to go and blow up these Fusiliers real quick, and then I'll reform and take out these Voltigas over here. That's one of the other things, be flexible in your strategy. If you see, like, a hammer coming on one side, for God's sake, don't put all your lights on one side. Because, I mean, here's the cav charge coming through. He's going to lose a bunch of horses before they even get to my guys. And then stops. Why did you stop? Just to get off a volley? Or
no, I told them to charge, and I forgot. No, I don't know why they stopped. I actually put them in melee, and I told them to charge, and then they stopped and fired a volley. So they actually probably could have taken out one of your...
Yeah, and then they end up at 20, 21, and then they're going to get raped by my second line back here, and then he's going to call off the charge, which, I mean, if your unit's already screwed,
yeah.
You may as well just leave it and see how many guys you can take out. I tried counter-charging Lancers. I kind of realized, you know, they were running away, so
a lot of the problems
I stopped them there and bring them back.
A lot of the problems for me in this game came from not realizing what state my units were in. I guess that's what went wrong for me.
Pretty much any and all flashing you see over on the side is just artillery fire. There's really not a whole lot going on this side of the map at present. I mean, Paul's kind of back up on the hill, and I told Tom, since this is his third battle, he just kind of hits the rock. He just needs to stand there, and if he's losing, he needs to lose as slow as possible. So here's a second chasseur coming into my Fusiliers, which actually kind of decided just to walk, which was a really bad idea. I thought I told them, apparently they didn't. One of them was going to get caught up in sustained melee with the chasseur. A couple of them going to make it back through my line. I'm going to set up the other Prussian Fusiliers there. Now, I didn't notice this other Lancer coming in. It's going to get a good hit off on my militia over here. But I have foot guards right behind it, and I'm just going to pretty much give a pounding to this Lancer unit.
I mean, that cap charge would have been, once again, not realistic in the way I want to do it. That cap charge would have probably been better if would have joined the ministry into that. So.
Yeah, if you would have just kind of kept rolling it over that way. But I mean, there's a few things that you gotta really do with cav, because cav aren't really an attack tool themselves. They're there to support what your line's doing.
Yeah.
So just kind of over on this flank, I'm starting to reform everything back up on this line again. And we have some Fusiliers of line that have kind of come up into the fight. They're going to get hammered on by 5 Prussian Fusiliers. I don't think any of these units are going to come back from routing at the moment.
I believe my Chasseur did.
Okay. So, I mean, these Fusilier line are already down to 74 men. And I mean, really, on my side, I'm only suffering. I mean, the worst unit off was one that got hit with the cav charge. It was only at 46.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really not the worst thing ever. And I think you realize what's going on over here at this point, and just start trying to pull back.
Yeah.
However they walk and kind of like reform taking, like, so many shots. And then at this point, these Voltiga in the forest have routed already. We got a militia line, so I'm going to charge my militia, get my foot guards up into fire rank there, and kind of quickly dispatch them. The other militia over here is still acting as a nice little meat shield for the Voltiga. I don't think they've been firing back.
Our men are running, sir!
I know I ran
The militia is routed, but ends up running directly back into this field.
If there's one thing that does make me angry about this game is that if you have a unit charge, they continue charging even if they shatter. So, that was the downfall of that militia piece.
Yeah, so they kind of took a beating. My militia over here, though, is doing surprisingly well. It's not routed at 28 men. That's one hell of a militia.
Our men are running, sir!
They finally routed, well, they did route at 28 finally, but I mean, that took a while. And meanwhile, I have another foot guard coming up to kind of, you know, bolster the line there, and another musketeer coming up to actually form a line. Because at this point, I've just been kind of pecking at him with Prussian Fusiliers at long range, and I really haven't got any of my line engaged. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, really, these guys are all pretty much cherry units. These guys took a couple overflow bullets. You know, my Lancers took one overflow bullet. These guys are still fresh. Like, everything's pretty much still fresh. So, meanwhile, what, you've had, like, 2-3 units route already?
Yeah,
Well, did you have an old guard up in this bush?
I've had 4. Yeah, no.
Yeah, well, no, you have another Voltiga up in this bush.
Yeah.
And an old guard behind it. Alright, yeah, okay. Alright, and Paul has kind of actually started to move up on this flank, which is a good thing. At this point, you know, Tom's sitting here asking what to do. I said just really, you know, reform the line down on this side, and then, you know, he brought Cav all the way over here. And then just had them stand there. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to use your Cav, use your Cav. You know, I mean, if you're not going to use them effectively, they're just as good as not having them since bring more infantry. Now, they're going to kind of start walking in this way. Okay, and there's one Cav charge going off, but I think Tom's going to get into square, and we'll be able to blunt that attack. I think. Okay, that unit.
Maybe, because it looks like he has the second half.
I'm not entirely sure, but I know there was a point where he did kind of get into square and just cracked a couple units. And this flank's really just kind of being that rock that I was really hoping it would be, and just, you know, holding. Meanwhile, we're rolling up this left flank here. Now, it's the whole premise of attacking is about creating a local advantage, and that's something that I did in this flank just with this overwhelming Fusilier group here. I mean, as you can see, I mean, they're just shredding units. I mean, this Fusilier's already down to 50. They're going to end up turning on this old guard in this forest that's already under fire. And when you start doing that and just grouping units on one another, they just take all sorts of fire. There's that Fusilier routing. These old guard won't be far behind. There's a Voltiga in the bush still, it seems. But, like I said, these aren't going to last very long. I do have Lancers kind of running up. They're going to attempt to crash into this old guard here. We've got my Hussars up into this line of Fusiliers, which is already at 41. This is one of the things that I did notice. The Fusiliers you had move up in front of the Voltigas, and they were just taking shots in the back from your Voltigas. So you were essentially helping me. And, you know, I'm not really going to complain. It was just, you know, it made it a little easier.
So by the time I had actually moved my cannon down, they were up on them.
Did I kill your general here? He routes.
Yeah, my general, he's the last one.
Yeah, this general was the last horse.
Our men are running, sir!
Just like running right off the ass of this. So, okay, so I mean, really, I wasted one Cav unit for a Voltiga, an old guard, and a general staff, which really isn't a waste. It's pretty good value for a Cav. And then the Hussar took out a Fusilier line, one Voltiga, and is going in for a young guard right now. So that was a really effective Cav charge on my line over here. Over here, we did miss the other Cav charge that Paul had. You can see the square is still up right now. So that's Paul's square that's up, that's defending against that. But you can see kind of where the Cav charges happen back in this area. I mean, Tom really didn't take a huge pounding from it, which pretty much means that it wasn't exactly an effective disruption. Use them
Our men
to
are running, sir.
make the other player have to react. Because if you have to make them react, then that's something that you're forcing. Like on this flank over here, I forced the hand. You know, I made Alex react to what I was doing, and unfortunately, with the middle line, with his partner not moving up, he wasn't able to fully react to what I was doing. So he's actually going to get rolled pretty quick over here.
Yeah, it took 15 minutes.
It did take 15 minutes, but still. And then on this side over here, I mean, what's been going on is actually Tom's been reacting to Paul quite a bit, but since I had that side of line all cleared up, he had all of his resources available to react to whatever Paul was throwing at him, which really kind of spelled this side out. Eventually, we're going to see a unit movement coming down, because at this point, you have, like, what, 4 units left, I think?
Yeah, and they're mostly all my elite
There's guard seamen, there's an old guard laying around, there's Fusiliers line that came back from routing of 43 men over here, and there's just Cheval back here that came back with 15. Yeah, they've been standing back there for a little while, I think. But yeah, so basically you have 5 units, and one of them's young guard, old guard, like I said, guard seamen. So there's 3 guard units in this, so it is a pretty tough little nut to crack. And actually, all my Prussian Fusiliers are just about out of ammo at present. So they got like maybe 2 or 3 shots left in them. But that frees up the whole rest of my line over here. I'm gonna give off a quick little cav charge into the side of Paul's line to try and help out Tom a little bit. Route 2 units. That was a good thing. I guess I just kind of forgot about it. What I should have done is kept the charge going to the Highland foot. But
I don't know how well that charge is.
Actually, okay, no, I did actually realize what was going on and continue the charge on the Highland foot.
One of our units has used all its ammunition, sir.
Lancers, you guys are seeing the used ammunition. But the Lancers actually have great charge bonus, and what I did was I stupidly left them in sustained melee with that Highland foot. They're going to end up running because they were already depleted, but it just wasn't the most effective use I could have made out of my cavalry. So now my Fusiliers are coming up this over here and starting to run ammunition. So as soon as you run out of ammunition, you can either use them as a meat shield or you can use them for disruption, kind of like a mini cav unit. And I started using them for line
One of our units has used all its ammunition, sir.
So what it's going to do is enemy lines can't fire when they're in sustained melee. So using your units that have used their ammunition to put these and force these lines in sustained melee are really what they're going to lock them down and make them unable to shoot back with free shots, essentially. You know, I mean, it's not like Fusiliers are the best thing in melee, but they cause that disruption that you want. There's going to be a cav charge right here. The last few guys, 14. We're going to take some supporting fire from the Fusiliers here. As you can see, Tom's kind of broken through a little bit, moving up towards the ridge, but this ridge is going to give a huge advantage to him.
Our men are running, sir.
I wasn't aware that you could run over bridges. So he just kind of focused his attack right here, but there's this ridge here, guarding here, so it's going to blunt the attack a lot. And there's his house. We've been shelling his house the entire time. But it's only taking bruising damage on the attacking cannon and howitzer. It's just not doing a lot. So the other thing too is Paul's artillery is now getting a little bit more effective on this flank over here. So we're starting to land some very accurate fire into Tom's lines.
One of our units has used all its ammunition, sir.
The third Prussian Fusilier has used ammunition. So yeah, then we're just gonna continue rolling up this line. I'm pretty sure you can kind of figure out what's gonna happen over here by now. Just looking at the massive units fighting guard seamen. That's at 64. So 1 half-strength guard seaman versus 1 half-strength musketeer. Mostly full, mostly full, mostly full. And 1 cherry musketeer. Yeah, I mean that's just not gonna turn out. And then a young guard in combat with a musketeer and a Prussian Fusilier.
I do believe actually that old guard.
I think the young guard actually does win this fight over here, and I'm gonna have to turn back around and react to something. And then when you send your last guard seaman just into melee, realize a glorious charge. And I didn't realize this at the time, but it's all about position. So these guys right here were just wasting bullets into a mountain instead of actually hitting these guys. So that was just me not realizing what position I was in. So as you can see,
one of our units has used all its ammunition, sir.
How this battle really kind of turns out. Tom did something weird and has his units firing up the slope at these guys here. Really, all
he
it's
actually
doing...
did a cap charge.
Yeah, he did across the side, and he charged right past the house and into a foot.
Yeah.
So that really wasn't exactly the best use of cam. So pretty much all these guys are doing is just depleting the hell out of each other. You're only going to win if you focus like 2-3 units on one unit and then move on. This is also a random case you're going to light foot on really
Our men are running,
instead of actually, you know, focusing on something. And actually, no, yeah, because this young guard. Yeah, this young guard's actually doing really well. It is at 34 when I started at like 50, and my guys are getting depleted pretty quick. So I just run up a musketeer to give off some supporting fire into that infantry blob right there.
Yeah.
And these guys.
There goes the so now I am officially up.
Yeah, and then I just shattered him with the first volley from there. Then there's the last of Alex's units that are out of the fight.
So actually through this entire fight, I was telling my partner that I was in trouble, and I actually, like, around the time when I did the charge with the young guard, I told him I was done. And he didn't even realize I was done until he saw the line coming over that road. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, and somewhere in there, I completely forget when, but I did give off a cap charge and take out this 1 9-pounder here. Wasn't exactly the best use. I did take out 4 units of his general staff, so countercharged my general staff into this 9-pounder. And then I forget what else happened to the horses. I think it was like these rifles or something turned back around and fired into them. And pretty much routed them. So now I'm just got to reform on this side and just kind of change my axis of attack right down into Paul. Meanwhile, Tom's having a little bit of problems over here. Just because, I mean, he's got the howitzer firing off, and, I mean, most of his units up front are low in morale. Now, one key thing, you can see Tom's general staff standing back here. You need to move your general with your troops, because these guys are all still full morale, because your general provides an inspire effect. So if you moved his general up with the troops, he could have saved both these units from routing, probably. I mean, there is one more Dragoon coming in. It's probably going to end up shattering a line here. But I mean, like, if the general was there and provided a little bit more help than, you know, standing back here. I mean, there's a fencible back here. I'm not sure if it was guarding something or if it came back from routing, being that it's at 40. I'm guessing it came back from routing. A light foot back there, too. I mean, like, so, I mean, there's just, Tom kind of gets racked right here. He's going to end up pretty much with a general staff and 2 pieces of artillery by the end of this. Because Paul is going to attempt to drag his dragoons back up this way into this line, which is getting peppered a little bit from the rifles over here. But I see the attack coming and form square, and he's just going to leave his dragoons and sustain melee with the infantry square, which is never a good idea. So, I mean, yeah, they are taking supporting fire from the rifles, which is going to make this go a little bit better in his favor. But it's still dragoons versus infantry square, and they are rifles. They're not the actual. They're not the actual skirmishers.
Yeah.
So they have a lower fire rate too. That's the whole problem with actually taking the rifle unit from anything like that. Remember, when they have less men, they may have a little bit greater range, like the 125 range, but they have such a slow reload, and that's really why they're not too desirable.
I do believe. Actually, there's like
Yeah, I think my square breaks. Yeah, and then we route the dragoons, and then I'm just gonna form with these musketeers to fight these rifles. And let's see, over on this side here, we got some canister going off at extreme range into my foot guard units, which pretty much just means that they're not doing really that effective damage. They're taking out a few guys at a time, but, you know. Stuff happens. I got, what, 1 unit trolling around over here. Any of the units that were caught back here fighting the last things, because I kind of moved my right flank up first and then brought my left flank around with it. So these units are all from my right flank, so they're kind of the untouched musketeers, foot guard, and foot guard. So this is really a tough line right here.
So actually, we both had our elite units on the same line at the beginning of the game.
Yeah. Now, don't ask me why I didn't flare this back here to kind of combat the 2 units of foot. No, wait, I did right here.
Yeah.
I was about to say. I mean, somehow it didn't seem like I left them there, but I didn't think I did. This musketeer unit, okay, I was actually just about to say that it's going to get routed because Paul did bring up 1 other foot unit to support. It was kind of my stupid fault for not actually supporting them with anything. However, mean, I still have pretty much, I have 3 units of foot guard over here. So, I mean, this isn't going to end very well for this foot. Or, because, I mean, what? I mean, yeah, these feet here. Because, I mean, it's 30 and 39, and they're going to take a couple more volleys and just rout. His general is still alive at this point, out of the 7. However, I think he's going to kill his general with a canister shot. I think.
Do you canister shot, or he charged?
He does something, because, I mean, there was... Oh, no, wait, he already did fire into his general's unit, because there's the dead general's horses. So, when you're using artillery, make sure you're aware of where everything is, because he left his general usually right in front of these, the valiant death of the British general right here, who actually does kill a couple people. Yeah, but I mean, you know, I guess he is really out of options at this point. He has no more cav, he has an overwhelming force coming down his flank. He does have the artillery advantage, but I mean, artillery only buys you so much. Which, I don't know why you bring 4 pieces of artillery to a game. They cost way too much. They don't do
We have killed their general, sir. Now they must break.
These 5-inch howitzers are going to go down. And he's left these fencibles in this house the entire game. They've taken 15 casualties in this house, just standing here. But once again, they're not fire that he could have brought anywhere else then. So he's really kind of, you know, I mean, it's not like fencibles are, you know, that great.
No one charged here.
Yeah, those are Prussian Fusiliers. Yeah, like, I mean, when I'm playing Prussia, I just bring the Fusiliers. I mean, the Jaegers and the whatever the hell the S thing. I mean, they're great. They got the extra range, but once again, it's that slower reload speed and everything. Something like that, yeah. I mean, these guys, Prussia does end up becoming Germany, so I mean, I guess that works. Yeah. So I mean, I just brought that rifle. This guy chain routes down here because he just notices that all the rifles are leaving, and he's going to get 44, and then he's going to take some houses. That's just going to totally shatter. And then, really, all this does is free up the last one of my units to focus on this house and the last couple pieces of artillery. So, mind you, remember how I was talking about the put something that's good at melee in a house if you're going to garrison a house? I have foot guards still left over here. Now, Prussian foot guards are actually pretty darn good at melee.
Pretty darn.
Yeah, so even
so
even if this musketeer didn't succeed at taking this house, I had foot guards back here. And I mean, this house is already, you know, garrison, steady, fresh, concerned, general dead. I mean, you're taking the general morale penalty because your general's dead, and then you add on top of that the fact that it's just fencibles. So even one of my musketeer units could have just blown it up. Yeah. Plus, I'm going to move all my units in for supporting fire here as well, and then just kind of mop it up. I'm pretty sure you can see exactly how this game ends. I'm just going to go ahead and hit the fast forward button real quick. There is no heroic last countercharge. There's no nothing because, I mean,
we have taken a building, sir.
Yep, there we go. House is gone.
Goes the cannon.
Here goes. I'm just melee charging cannon because I feel like melee charging cannon. And this last cannon just kind of chain routes. Now, Paul did kill a lot of people, mostly because he had cannon, 4 units of artillery, and he was facing off against someone who didn't know he could run up or couldn't run up a ridge. So you kind of got a 6-1 half a dozen the other here going on. I mean, my side performed slightly better by about 100 some kills. But really, it was just a toss-up. We killed about the same amount of people, but it was really about where and how we killed them and how quickly we killed them. Yeah. Is really what changed the game. And like I said, everything in this game is really about time. Now, we're gonna end up uploading a 2v1 probably later this week that I played against Paul and Zanman, where I take out. I'm actually the one, not to totally spoil it, but I'm able to do pretty well, just because I do manage that time aspect pretty well. If I would have done a little bit better and actually realized what was going on, things may turn out a little bit differently. But really, that was really the underscore of that was just time. And same with this battle. The time it took me to route my left flank enabled me to route out the stronger player and then turn my attention to the weaker player. Whereas it just didn't happen on the other side. So, anywho, this was Techninja 117 and Zanman 6. Sorry I didn't really let you talk very much.
Nah, it's okay. You knew what you're talking about, I let you go.
You can just kind of butt in if you want.
Yeah.
But anywho, if you liked this video, please do remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And as always, have fun and good creeping.
Later, everyone. It's the Battle of Waterloo. I get my ass reamed really.